afternoon to everybody who is not on the West Coast. Going to be talking about the deterioration of the economy, and this is what the Federal Reserve is looking for in order to adjust their monetary policy. And, the big question that everybody has, where is the Fed going with their interest rates? When are they going to be lowering rates, right? This is the big question out there. Now, you have to understand what it is that the Federal Reserve is truly looking to achieve. They have a dual mandate, right? Their dual mandate is low and stable prices and full employment. So as long as there's full employment, or there's plenty of jobs out there, or at least the unemployment isn't rising, they've covered that part of the dual mandate. The other part is to keep low and stable prices. And this is really something where a lot of people still don't feel that the Federal Reserve has achieved their goal of that mandate, that dual mandate, meaning that they are probably going to have to keep monetary policy in a position in which that keeps the economy from functioning in a way that provides the higher prices coming to the economy, right? Did I say that right? Ultimately, they are looking to restrict the consumer out there, to keep the consumer from going out there and making a bunch of purchases or taking out a bunch of debt to buy houses and cars and go on vacation. This is the economic deterioration that they are really looking for, not like what a lot of people are anticipating as far as lowering interest rates for the election year or something of that nature. I don't see it, right? Go and take a look at some of the links that I leave down in the description for you. There's one from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and it's pretty interesting. I was doing some research looking for building materials and how much retail participation within building supplies and building materials is taking place right now. And I found a dramatic slowdown in the building supply side of things, including it wasn't just building supplies, I think automotive, auto dealers were another one of those. Just looking for those places where the retail is slowing down dramatically. And it's happening not only in building supplies, but it's happening within auto and a few other things. And like I said, I left the link down in the description. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't really list them off. And again, this is what I feel that the Federal Reserve is looking for, right? They are looking for this deterioration to take place. They want to see pain and suffering happening within the economy. Once they have seen a significant amount of pain and suffering within the economy, that will give them the reason to start lowering their interest rates. Now, the lowering of interest rates would have the idea behind it is that if you lower interest rates, you will spark more economic activity, and with the economic activity would then come jobs, right? The unemployment would then come down. But if you have low unemployment and you have prices that are starting to find their normal lower pricing, the inflation isn't as hot and heavy as it once was. Again, this is what the Federal Reserve is looking to achieve. And they have the interest rates set at a policy that is achieving this, right? Low and stable prices and low unemployment. So it's happening right now. Now, again, a lot of people might be arguing with the low and stable prices, but the inflation that was once very hot and heavy is starting to come down. You're finding, I think the last numbers that came out on it were 2.8% or something. Still above the target, but not nearly like the 9% that was taking place, last year or the year before, which was scaring the hell out of everybody. So this is really, again, what has taken place within the economy. Now, I look at retail. Retail is so important to not only my, my job where I work, but it's also a major part of the economy. And so when I went to go look to see what portion of the economy is actually involved with retail, I didn't realize it, but it's actually pretty small. It's if I remember right, I think it was less than 10% of the entire economy is retail. I was holy crap, where is the rest of the economy at? Well, it's in service industries and manufacturing and distribution and all this other stuff that's happening. But it's not necessarily completely within the retail space, even though that is probably the most noticed area of the economy, is how much money you are spending as the end user. And this is, again, what the Federal Reserve is looking for. If you take a look at the speech that I leave from Christopher Waller. Christopher Waller is a voting member of the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee. He votes on monetary policy. Now, there is, many other members of the FOMC. Christopher Waller is just one of them. But when it comes to like Powell adjusting interest rates, he's a voting member too. It's not up to him to make this decision. The decision is made by many members of this FOMC. Christopher Waller being a very important and very significant voting member of the FOMC, along with all the rest of them, his voice is heard very well across this community. So what he is saying is very important to the monetary policy that is going into the future. And if you go and you look at some of the things that he was talking about, he doesn't see enough deterioration within the economy yet, which I think is pretty amusing considering some of the stories that you're hearing out there from some of the people. I mean, just like take a look at some of the comments that will be left in this video about how damaged the economy is and how horrible position everybody else is in. But if you listen to Christopher Waller, he doesn't see enough of it yet. In fact, he doesn't see enough of it that would say, like, I think the title of the speech is, "What's the rush?" Like, literally, what's the rush in lowering interest rates? And that makes a lot of sense, too, when you think about what it is that they are really attempting to achieve with their monetary policy. See, a lot of people seem to think that the Federal Reserve is trying to, I don't know what they think that the Federal Reserve is trying to do. Like, they make up all kinds of stuff, and they believe in this political, atmosphere that the Federal Reserve is completely political and trying to, maintain election years or something of that nature. It's just, I don't see it, not in anything that I'm reading. But what I do see is them being very concerned about how well the economy is functioning, considering that they were anticipating a major slowdown happening right now. So it's not even going to the pace in which that they had assumed that it was going. In fact, it's doing better than what they had anticipated, which again is like really scary for a lot of people out there, considering how bad the situation is for a lot of people. So when we think about what it is that the Federal Reserve is going to be doing going into the future, if you take a look at the retail sales that are slowing down, and they're slowing down dramatically, I mean, even to the point that Home Depot is now taking active measures to try and move into a different position, moving more into the contractor service side of things, knowing that the retail space is just not going to be there. What is it that the Federal Reserve is truly looking for, right? They're looking for the inflation to come down to that stable price, right? And they're looking for unemployment to rise. So unless those two things are absolutely occurring, then I don't see where they would actually adjust their monetary policy, considering that they haven't achieved that dual mandate yet. So as far as like being an election year, I don't think they have any concern over that. As far as being like, nobody can afford a house, I don't think they concern themselves with that. They really don't. Like, they're not really giving a care about where it is that house prices are. What they really care about is that there's an available loan out there for somebody who, if they wanted to, could get it, right? They just don't want to see the markets freezing up. And again, this is where I feel that a lot of people are very confused about what it is that the monetary policy is looking to achieve. Remember, low and stable prices and full employment. So unless the unemployment rises dramatically, I don't see where the Federal Reserve would even care about lowering interest rates. They want to keep those higher interest rates going into the future for if they ever have a real significant slowdown, a real recession kicking in, then they would have the monetary policy in order to combat that. But unless that is actually happening, then you can anticipate that the Federal Reserve is going to keep those interest rates elevated for a significant amount of time. All right, what are you guys talking about? There's a typo in the first line of the description, just for your information. Oh, thank you. I'll go and fix that once I upload it. I didn't have my glasses on when I was trying to type it, so it was like, but I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll go and fix it. Not on groceries, still rising. That's something that I again, like, my wife is really, really good at shopping. Like, I mean, she's really good at it. And I'm amazed by some of the deals that she is bringing home. Now, granted, most people wouldn't need an insane amount of ketchup, right? I mean, typically when you go to the store, especially if you're a single individual, you're not going to be buying bulk. You're going to just be buying a reasonable amount of ketchup. Now, she brought home a Costco size 3 packages of this big old ketchup or whatever, but I forget how much it was. I just remember it was astonishingly cheap. I was like, holy crap, like, you got it for how much? And again, I'm looking at all this ketchup, oh man, it's going to take us a year to go through all this. Of course it won't, because I have kids and they love ketchup, but the idea behind it is that it's not everything is as expensive as it once was. yes, some of the items that you were probably very consistently buying, like, you go and you buy the exact same package of the exact same amount, every single month or whatever, and you don't deviate from that, yeah, you probably see some price changes that are quite extreme. But if you're willing to shop around, you can find really good deals out there when it comes to food. I mean, we saw, like, when chicken was in, like, on a huge sale, I forget what it was under, like, I don't know, it was like 90 cents a pound or something like that. We loaded up on a bunch of it. We have a freezer. Sarah can can, and she didn't can any of it, but we could if we wanted to take advantage of those lower prices and bulk up on it. Now, it's not going to be everything all at once, but there is a lot of places within the economy where deals can be found. You just have to search them out. And you're finding ever increasing amounts of those things as the demand back during the pandemic, during the shortages, increased the amount of, like, inventory that people wanted to hold, right? They were like, crap, we don't have it on the shelf. We need ever increasing amounts of this stuff on the shelf to deal with this influx of demand that is happening. So they bulk up and load up these shelves with all kinds of merchandise, thinking that they were this extreme demand, only to come to find out that the demand isn't there. I mean, we see the retail prices dropping now. Give this some time and you're going to find more and more of these, like, buy bulk, get cheaper prices. You're going to find ever increasing amounts of that coming to the economy as the manufacturers and distributors out there are looking to push all this inventory that they had built up during the pandemic, thinking that there was going to be more, needing to have more of a domestic supply and not be reliant on the just-in-time delivery, which is going to be the most efficient way of producing an economy, is to have just-in-time delivery. You just can't beat the efficiency, the profitability, everything that goes with it. Now, it is fragile, I'll give you that, but it's not, there's no way that like stocking up, warehousing, building up an inventory, a domestic supply is going to be cheaper than a just-in-time delivery. So as the just-in-time delivery, the supply chain starts to repair itself, you're going to find ever increasing amounts of, like, warehouse space and inventory levels starting to deplete to deal with the fact that this other form of distribution is going to be cheaper. In order to clear out that inventory, you're going to have to find better deals. So they'll sell bulk off in cheaper prices than necessarily, say, the individual sale of it. Does that make sense? Anyway, moving on. Man, look at all these comments and questions. Okay, what's your thoughts on paying down a 3.2% mortgage or holding on to it for the full 30 years and investing elsewhere? All right, well, Kyle, that's actually a question that relates right to me because I have that exact same thing going on. I have a mortgage rate with a 3.125% to it, and the principal payments, or the interest payments, I guess I should say, on it are pretty low considering, what I was paying on a 6.5% mortgage. And now I think about it, like, you could pay off your mortgage early, right, by making those extra payments on the principal. But could you put that money that you're paying towards the house, could you make an interest off of that is beyond the 3.2%? And could it be significant enough? Like, you have to think about it. There is no better investment than paying off debt. Like, if you have debt, just pay off your debt, because, like, the amount of money that you would have to earn on an investment would have to be that beyond that you're paying in interest on your debt, right? So if you have credit card debt, there is no point in investing. If you have credit card debt, pay off your credit card debt, then go into investments. But if you can find that investment that pays far beyond what your interest payment is, well, then that would be the position that you would want to go in. Now, if it's just slightly better, like, it's like you have a safe return on 5% or something like that, like, putting it into, like, even treasuries only pay, like, a 10 years, like, at what, 4.2. So you're really not going to have that much of an increase in the return on capital investment by going into a U.S. Treasury over paying off the debt. You see, like, you have a 3.2 and it's 4.2. So really, you're only getting like a 1% return. And then after inflation, you probably lose that to, your purchasing power on that anyway. So you end up going negative. You might as well have been paying off the principal on your home. But if you can get it up to, like, say, 8, 10, 12% return, well, then that's pretty significant over your interest payment that you're paying on your house. It might make more sense to then buy that investment as opposed to paying off your house. So, really it's up to, it's up to you on that, like, kind of aspect of things. Also, do you feel like inflation is going to be pretty significant going into the future? Like, do you think like inflation is going to be hot and heavy for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever? If you think that, well, the purchasing power of your dollars spent today wouldn't make sense paying off your debt when the purchasing power is lost coming into the future. You could pay off that debt with lesser dollars, right? So, like, earning dollars today to pay off your debt would be harder than an inflationary scenario in the future where earning those dollars to pay off the debt would be easier, right? So basically, if the inflation runs rampant and all our wages start to go up to deal with the inflation, well, the higher wages in the future would be paying off the past debt easier than trying to pay it off in the current time. Does that make sense? So really, it's about the position that you're in and how you feel the future is going to be. I personally am not paying my house off early, but actually trying to make future payments on the house so that if there ever came a time in which that I was, loss of income or something happened, I wouldn't have to worry about that debt payment, right? That house payment on it. Although that doesn't bring down the overall house, like the end price I pay for the house, because I'm not making those principal payments, but instead making future payments. It gives me that freedom. Makes me a little bit more nimble as far as what I can do every single month. If I don't want to make a house payment, I don't have to, right? But ultimately, if you have the ability and you can, pay off all your debts as fast as possible, right? All right, I bought 69 tubes of toothpaste. Genius. Ugh. All right. Entire lifetime supply. All right. Javelin paying off 30% credit card. All right. A mortgage is a good debt secured by the property. Pay off bad debt and save investment the extra. There you go. All right. In 1997, bought my house. Interest rate was 8.38. Paid 115,000. If I went the full 30 years, I would have paid $260,000 to the bank. Simon, that's a great move. Gives peace of mind. Yeah, thank you. All right. Tommy says it's good to debt max right now. Move overseas. They can't find you. Terrible idea. I don't. I kind of ignored a debt payment, like I ignored my mortgage as it went into foreclosure. I just threw all the papers in the garbage, and I just didn't think about it. Terrible idea. Don't abandon your debts and thinking like that it'll just go away or something. It will come back and create nightmares for you later on. All right. The most wealthy people I know don't pay off mortgage early. They invest and insure. They have life insurance policy that covers the house. Yeah, EPR paradox. I had somebody like this lady I know who owns, quite a few properties, and she laughed at me. She was just like, "Oh, you're paying off your house. You didn't take an interest only." She goes, I take out interest only loans on my property. And she went on about how she rents them out and that she will own more properties in the time that it takes for me to pay off my mortgage than anything. Like, she went off on it. So basically, she takes out interest only loans and then rents the properties out and then does all, whatever she does with it. And she was kind of laughing at me saying, yeah, I'll own 4 or 5 properties by the time you're done with, paying off yours. As a new homeowner, amortization blows my mind. Seems critical to make extra annual payments. See that news story? Someone wants to bring back Ames department stores. Who in their right mind would do that? Department stores are no longer feasible. Does your city have squatter law? I'd imagine there's something in there. I'm not sure what it is. I'm here. We can start now. Right on, all night. Great to see you here, brother. All right. What do you think the impact AI tech revolution has on the Cantillon effect? Yeah, fad one. I've had other people ask me about that one, and what I honestly think about like AI and automation and all that other stuff, like, I'm looking forward to all that stuff. Like, I'm not scared of it. I'm not worried about like what it's going to do to the economy or deteriorating jobs or anything like that. Like, I don't see it that way. What I see AI and automation, I think of those things as being awesome and good things that are going to be taking place. I mean, really, if there is a computer or a robot or some kind of technology out there that can take your job away, it's sad as it seems, because you want that job, you want to have an income. It's actually a benefit to you, because now it relieves you from having to do that, and you can go and pursue the things that you really should have been doing with your life to begin with, right? I look again back at the like telephone operators, where there was warehouses full of people doing switchboard operations. I mean, this was not being the most productive of their skills, with their life. That's not, I mean, there's no pursuit of passion by doing a switchboard operation. You get what I'm getting at? That's no expression of talents or skills or services or anything it is that you have that's truly within you that you can provide to this world. If you can provide this world with value, then the world will provide you with an abundance, right? It's just the way it works. And so the idea that automation is going to take your job away, well, if it's a job that automation or AI could take from you, that's a good thing. I know it sounds sad or scary, but it is a good thing, right? And what it does is it's going to force you to go out there and start pursuing the things that you really should be doing with your life, right? And to me, like, I don't see it as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. All right, great until there's a housing glut. And Dan in Alabama, thank you very much for the comment and for being a member of the channel here. I still wonder how it is that this glut is going to be taking place. Like, I've talked with other distributors and retailers and people who are in the building supply space, right? Like, we talk about this quite a bit. And, we would love, like all of us would love to see a huge ramping up of building taking place. Like, that's our job. That's where our money comes from, is the selling of building supplies. Like, I would love to see it. And as every day that goes by, and I don't see that happening, that ramping up of building, there is no slowdown in the amount of people who want to build homes or who want a home, right? There's people who would want homes built. That's what I should say, right? And those people are the people who are complaining about the house prices. They're complaining about it being unaffordable to their daily jobs or, their income or whatever it is that's happening out there. That doesn't reverse course. Like, you don't lose the amount of people who want to build or who want a home built, right? Or want to just live in a home. They may have given up and they're just no longer participating in the actual looking for a home, but they still want it, right? Whether they're living in mom's basement or sharing an apartment with people or doing something, they still want that home, right? So the demand for homes is huge. It's quite extensive out there. But the ability to actually construct homes in a significant fashion to meet that demand, I don't see it happening yet. Like, they're trying, there's like Home Depot setting it up to happen, but just go and look at like the building permit issuance. It's not any greater than it was back in 2019. It's like pretty much flat. So if they're not ramping up construction to build new homes, then they're not going to be able to meet the demand. Right. And I know that there's a lot of homes here in the United States, and people are saying, man, there's so many empty houses that are, I understand that. Right. I get that there's a lot of places that could be available to other people. They're not. Right. Now, whether they end up getting sold out there or forced to sell or something of that nature, unemployment rises and people start moving into foreclosure. What the results from that may not be what a lot of people are expecting, where there's this huge flood of houses and all these houses are out there for sale and they're all super cheap. Like, why would that be? Is it because people can't get the loan for the house and that's why they're all available out there at super cheap? That would probably be the reason, right? And so if there's all these houses available and the loans aren't available, right, then where is it that you plan on buying your house? How is it that you plan on buying your house? All cash? All cash buyers? Well, all cash buyers are already playing the game. In fact, they make up better than 30% of homes that are being sold right now. They do not care where this price is or where the interest rates are. They're willing to pay at this price, right? That's something interesting to think about. So when all these house prices come down and they're all available and loans aren't available, how many cash buyers are going to be there, right? How many cash buyers are already taking place in the economy, in the market right now? Right? This is something to, like, you got to consider this stuff. So when everybody says like all these houses are going to be available due to foreclosures, I'm doubting, on a very extreme like doubt, that the loans will be available for you. Like, the loans that are available will only be to the most qualified people out there. In fact, I was reading an article this morning. It was written back in 1981, talking about the housing market and talking about the prices that people were paying back then, like the increase from 1979 to 1980. I'll go get that link and I'll leave it down in the description of this video after I fix the typo. And I will put that link down in there for you as well. But you should go and read that. Like, the down payments were increasing, right, during this time. House prices were moving up, interest rates were moving up, the payments were moving up, and the down payments were moving up. And this was all in 1980. Like, the people talk about, oh man, in the early 80s, we bought a house for, it was really cheap, but the interest rates were quite extreme. And it was just like, well, I very seriously doubt in 1980 there was a whole lot of homes that were even being sold, right? Considering the economic conditions that were happening at the time. All right. Man, I am 25 years old, Generation Z, and I was told that if I go to school, get good grades, go get into college debt, going to college debt, that I would be promised this American dream, but that's all BS and all a lie. It's JROB. Well, dude, I'm sorry to say this, but I absolutely 100% agree with you. They sold you a lie, right? But it was almost needed in order to maintain in order to get the economy to the level that it is. No, hold on, let me say that again. It was almost needed in order to keep the economy rolling to the level that it is. Okay, so ultimately, it doesn't really matter how the money is borrowed or where it goes. Like, that almost doesn't matter at all, so long as the money is filling the sluices, right? So you can, like, pay people $80 an hour to work on a bridge, like to do like this, infrastructure project. And by paying them this ungodly amount, like just some dude, just like, he does it like a laborer on the job, like, doesn't even do anything, sweeping around the trucks or something. I don't know. Just like something very minimal job, doesn't take a whole lot of skills, but you pay them this incredible amount to do it, right? Well, what do they do with that money? They go out there and start spending it. They'll spend it at the restaurants, at the hotels. They'll start buying things, right? And it starts moving the economy along. It starts creating the dollar velocity to start happening. So when it comes to a recessionary event, what it takes in this economy to get out of that recessionary event is to just have money flowing. And it doesn't matter, again, like where it goes, so long as it fills the sluices. Get it out there in every direction, pay anybody who can get paid, and just get it out there and start going for it, right? So now we have to think back. During Obama administration, with the great financial crisis, there was this big push. Go back to school, go get educated, go get a good job, and then go off after the American dream. And they were selling it to these kids, bombarding them with this idea. I remember I would get up and dance and sing along to the Education Connection songs. You remember the Education Connection, and they were like, go get educated, go get your student loans, and they were going to totally help you get it, right? This was a big push. They were pushing everybody, all these kids, to take out this debt. Well, the moment that they sign the deal, sign the debt, and that money starts flowing, it starts going to the schools, it starts going to the administration, it starts going out there and starts finding its way out there into the economy. But they needed people to take out a significant amount of debt. And if you're not buying houses and cars and going on vacation, you might as well buy some education, right? And so they just started pushing all these debts onto these kids. Sign the deal, right? So now a bunch of debt gets issued out there. That's money. Money is debt, debt is money, right? Got to think about the two things as being the same thing. But if you don't have anybody borrowing the money, then you can't really have the money to begin with, because you've got to have the debt to begin with, right? That's the money itself, is the IOU. Now that all these students have signed all these IOUs, created all these instruments of debt, now we got money flowing through the system due to all these debts that have been issued out there. This is one of the reasons why they just won't let them just fade away, right? Is like, or just, allow people to default on all their student loan debts, because it would literally extract money right out of the system by doing it. Not to mention that the government sits on a huge portion of this debt, meaning that they own it. They are owed this money. Okay, so now if you take the financial balance sheet of the government, not the Federal Reserve, but the government itself. Now they have a balance sheet like anybody else does, right? Assets and liabilities, right? All the liabilities are like the debt, the treasuries and stuff like that that's out there. But the asset is all like the loans, right? The student loans, or maybe loans to other nations or something of that nature, right? Those are the assets. And of the financial portion of their balance sheet, meaning all these, loans that they have given out there, like the student loans, the student loan asset-backed securities makes up better than 50% of that balance sheet, of that financial portion of it, right? So all these student loan asset-backed securities, literally called slabs, right? This makes up a huge portion of the government's balance sheet. So they can't just like make it go away. If they did, they would cause their assets to be higher, or their assets to fall below their liabilities, and it would screw up their credit rating. So they can't just like let that just go away. They have to keep that in order to keep their balance sheet in line with their liabilities. However, people aren't paying them, so they make, okay, well, you're forced to pay them, right? So that way they don't just default or disappear. They're still there on the balance sheet, whether they're getting paid or not. And this is like, to me, this was a very critical point for the economy back in the great financial crisis, that they have somebody taking out a bunch of loans, a bunch of money, right? And that was the student loans that were happening at the time. It was like it found a huge chunk of people out there who they could get indebted. And it totally worked. Like, they weren't really worried about the consequences from doing this. They were just like, hey, man, we got to get somebody to borrow money. And they found it in those student loans. I don't know. That's the way I see it anyway. Because nobody, like, I can't believe how many people that I know with degrees who work regular jobs. Like, what good is that degree if you're just doing the same thing I'm doing? In fact, I am better at my job because I had been here the entire time with the experience of it. Your degree doesn't provide you with any experience, and you don't need a degree to do my job. So now your degree is completely worthless, and it's costing you, because now you have to do my job as good as I do with the experience that I have, and then be able to pay off your debt with that. And I don't have to worry about paying off a debt. You see, like, this is what happened to a lot of students out there. Now, granted, there was quite a few people who became professionals, right? They, got their degree, became doctors or lawyers, or even, whatever professional, job that they got, where they get paid, $150,000 a year, and may be able to pay off their student loans with that. But most people that I know with degrees personally don't use them for anything, like at all. Like, they didn't need it. They could have done it with, in fact, they probably would have done better without it, All right, moving on. Did I see? Hey, thank you, Isaac, for being a member for the 14 months. Man, that is so awesome. If you guys join the channel, it's $1 a month, literally $1 a month to join the channel. We do member-only live streams. This weekend on Sunday, I was thinking about doing a review of this working paper coming out of the Federal Reserve, talking about the gold standard. But I'm almost thinking that it might be better to do the Christopher Waller speech. What's the rush? Because I think there's probably more prudent information inside of there, but we might do 2 of them this week, right? By joining the channel, you'll have access to those videos. You can go back and watch them at your leisure, or you can join in on the live stream where we have a discussion talking about those particular topics, whether, whatever it is that I happen to be covering at the time. And the benefit of that is that the people who have joined the channel are incredibly serious about this. Like, they are not joking around. You don't have trolls. You have serious replies. You know, the questions that are asked are addressed. We read every single comment within it. So everybody gets to join in on those discussions and really take part inside of understanding what it is that is happening here with the monetary policy, because we have to figure it out for ourselves. Like, there's nobody else out there who is going to do this for us. We have to figure it out. And there's nobody out there who understands the position that you are in like you do. Right? Now, you could go to a financial advisor and you can describe everything that you have going on in your life, and they could probably look at it and say, hey man, these are the things that you need to do. But there's nobody on YouTube who is going to be giving you advice on what it is that you need to do that is customized just for you, right? They are giving you their interpretation of what it is that they see. And if they are flying at 30,000 feet in the air with hundreds of millions of dollars, how is it that they're relating to a working class individual? They can't. They simply cannot do it, you know? And so this is where this channel really steps up, because we're working class people for the most part. Not everybody. I do have hedge funds that follow this channel, and I actually have some pretty high level bankers as well who follow this channel because they love the insight that I give from the boots on the ground perspective. It's something that they don't get. Most people who do like economic analysis are waiting. They're looking at data that has already happened, right? They're looking for the data that we live in real time. And by discussing it in real time, we have an advantage over a lot of people out there once we have taken on a macroeconomics understanding and then, you know, apply it to our daily lives. We have a much better advantage over most people out there, as they are, again, waiting for the data to come out that we live in real time. So, all right, we are about 5 minutes away from ending this live stream. We got 424 people watching right now. Go hit the like button, please. If you hit that like button, what it'll do is the YouTube algorithm will pick up the video and spread it around for more people to join in for the next 5 minutes anyway. But it'll also help the algorithm for spreading the video around once it's uploaded. So, all right. Drop a like on the video. Thank you very much, Crypto Crandall. All right, let's cruise down here and see if we can find one more question. Here we go. George Gammon is reporting on the rent now, pay later option that a lot of renters are doing now. This is absolute insane. Wow, I'm not familiar with that one. I should go watch George's channel and see if I can figure that one out. Okay, I Love Michigan says, I have been preaching the college debt crap for a very long time myself. I have family that no longer talks to me because I will not push my kids to go to college. I don't have like family not talking to me about it, but I did have some family members in the past who disagreed very much with my ideas of what was happening with the student loans. But you know, they came from a time in which that the college education was significant. It made a huge difference in your life. But it was also during a time in which that you could go to school, go to college, and work a part-time job, or even like, you know, just work a regular job and pay for that college education. You could invest into that college education and then get a real return off of it that didn't have you burdened with debt, right? There was a time that that could take place. Like, it was a good deal. It was awesome, right? Go work hard, pay for your education, get a degree, go become a professional, and then live out your dreams, right? I mean, it was such an easy thing to do. All you had to do is just be dedicated to the process. It doesn't work like that anymore. You can go and get a great degree, be very educated, not find anything within your field because you're in a competition with everybody else who has degrees. So you're swimming in a sea of degrees that doesn't stand you out from anybody else out there. And you realize that, man, I wasted time trying to get this degree when I should have been going and getting the experience, because now that's what people are looking for, is experienced people, not necessarily a degree, because everybody has a degree, right? All right. Hey, AC, thank you for joining the channel. You're going to really enjoy those membership videos. All right. Simon mentioned potentially giving away one free membership a month. No, I didn't, Benny. You mentioned that. Besides, I mean, it's $1 a month. It's really, it doesn't, it's like literally insignificant to most people out there. $1 a month, like, I mean, that doesn't cost you anything. I mean, it's $12 a year, right? It's $120 a decade. It's like for you could you get more information from $1 a month membership to this channel than you will probably ever get when you go and take a college course. And I mean, I'm serious about that because I am very dedicated to figuring out what this monetary policy is, what it means to me as a working class individual, sharing that knowledge with you. Like, I can't think of anybody else who is as dedicated to working as hard to make that happen as I am. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people out there wanting, share their information. They sensationalize a lot of stuff. They put a lot of fear-mongering videos out there. I have to use fear-mongering titles to get the attention for it, but if you notice that most of my videos are not that fear-mongering, most of the time they're explaining things very much the way they are, not the way that they believe they should be, but just the way they are. I have to conduct myself in a way that then is most appropriate for the way things are, not the way they should be. I can't vote for anybody who is going to change the way the world operates so it best suits me. I can't expect that, nor do I. And nor do I expect somebody to be in office who is going to deteriorate my life because of the decisions that I have made. Like, I hold the responsibility for all that, me personally, and I put zero expectations on anybody else out there to fix it to be most suitable for me. Right? Ain't gonna work like that. No matter how much I wish and dream, it won't work like that. Alrighty, guys, I have to go, so I'm gonna read one more comment here, and then I gotta give it up for the day. Bro, why don't you just start a podcast? What are you talking about? This is a podcast. This is the reason why I don't do other stuff on the internet, and I will at some point in my life, is because I just simply don't have the time. That's one of the reasons why I do these things on lunch. Is because I got too much stuff going on after work. I got, boys practice, got baseball practice, got weight training things just for the young one. I got my own responsibilities that I have to take care of. I have to, come up with the next video. I have all kinds of stuff that I have going on. My day is completely filled, and I don't really have time to be on another platform. All right. And doing all that, it's just already it takes up so much of my time. So I have to be active here on YouTube. This is the one place that I can be fairly regular and be active on. So, at some point, down the road, I will start, doing other things, but I just got to be, I don't want to start something that I can't work on, All right. I'm almost an attorney, but I have no real intention in this area to spend another 100,000 just for nothing. You can flip burgers and do your engineering because you have money in the bank. Theory is in practice. All right, Brody, I think that what Benny was trying to say was that he would like to foot the bill and give everyone watching a stream a membership to the channel. There you go. Yeah, you can gift them, gift the membership. All right. Well, it's crazy because the corporations colluded with the schools to where entry-level jobs to get experience required a college degree. Yeah, yeah, I can believe that. I mean, it seemed to be the case for a lot of people. They just felt like there was no way that they were ever even going to get their foot in the door without the college degree. But again, it was just how many people were actually going to be successful at getting their foot in the door with that college degree, considering that there was a flood of college degrees out there. I think about it. People were like, you'll never have $100,000 a year job. Okay, without a degree. I doubt that. I think that, you could find $100,000 a year job. It may not be the $100,000 a year job that you want, but I think the ability to acquire $100,000 in a year is a lot easier than people would think it is. They put the burden on themselves by believing they can't do it. That's one of the hardest things out there. It's an ego. I know, because I don't like admitting it, but I have a huge ego. I really do. Things need to be this particular way. If they're not, then my world comes to an end. I've had that feelings and thoughts before in my past, and letting that go is the key to it all, because the moment that you let that go, all the stuff starts pouring in. People's ego is really what holds them back from being successful at what they do. And I know, because letting go of ego, letting go of that big ego and the way things ought to be, instead of just accepting it the way they are, is a huge difference for me. Like, it made all the difference in the world. And it's still very difficult at times for me to let that go, you know? Alrighty. Okay. Have a great weekend and have a blessed Good Friday. Alrighty. This is better than a podcast. Thank you, Big Hill. Alrighty, you guys are awesome. Thank you for all these comments. Thank you for the thumbs up. 415 people watching right now. Benny is so funny, man. I'm not gonna read it, but it was a pretty funny comment. Alrighty, guys. Uneducated economist, you let me know.